we personally think, because of our economic views, that raising the minimum wage will hurt poor people and children.
I mean, it's not like Seattle did that and it destroyed businesses in Seattle. Oh, wait.
You're so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
For real.
For real.
When things are wrong, I'll be by your side. Even when you want to cry.
Stop it. You're not unmuting it. Did you unmute it?
Yeah, I didn't mute it in the first place.
I guess you just turned me way down, so I barely hear myself.
Nope,
well, on the other thing.
Oh,
yeah.
I only turned you one click down.
I know, but that made all the difference. Apparently, I can't even hear myself.
Of course, I hear you just fine.
Well, that's good. That's all that really matters. Nothing really matters. Welcome, all of you naked friends.
That's an image I didn't need.
Oh, just when you thought the weeks couldn't get any crazier, they got crazier, right? Right?
Yeah.
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 And I'm standing by my statement at the beginning of this year that let this year be the year of the people, because it's starting to look like it's going to be the year of the people with the stock markets doing what they did and all that stuff. Apparently, government doesn't like when the people start doing what the government's been doing, and all those associated with high people in the government.
Dang.
Yes?
You just reminded me of something, so I looked at my stocks.
Decent?
Doing all right.
All right.
Doing all right.
Yeah.
I mean, GameStop is down like $85, so it's probably time to buy in now if you haven't already. I'm not giving advice. I'm just being facetious.
Yeah. Supposedly things are supposed to spike.
Supposedly.
But,
well, if they would allow people to buy the stocks, it might spike again.
Oh, you can buy stocks. You can buy 2 stocks.
Yes. Well, it's kind of bullshit, because what they're doing is they're limiting the amount that regular users can buy, while on the backside, the hedge funds and stuff are buying stocks and then selling them specifically to each other at lower prices to force the price down.
Right.
In retaliation against Reddit.
Because that's fine.
So you get it on both sides. But the other thing that's bullshit is, Robinhood and everybody's limiting how much you can buy. Well, that's because the SEC came out and basically put in a 150 or 200% increase on their, what's it called? Basically the amount of funds that they have to have per stock.
Yeah.
So now, instead of just having to have, I can't remember what it was, like 30% or something like that to back the buy, because they now have to have like 80%.
This is exactly what happened in the Great Depression with the banks. Because everyone started getting scared that the stock market was crashing, so they went to the bank to get all their money out. And it turns out the banks only carried about 20% of the cash that they said they had in the bank. And so 20% of the people got their money out, while 80% had no money.
So
that's basically what happened. It's just digital this time.
Yeah.
And thank you, Democrats, for making that a thing a few years ago. Yeah. For the little people. Yeah. Anyway.
But I digress. Don't want to talk about GameStop.
No.
There's too much else to talk about.
There is way too much else. That's
Even though GameStop is kind of actually an important historic thing.
it is important, but it's about to be unimportant.
Maybe.
I feel
I don't know. I could see it going either way.
right.
It really just depends on whether or not people hold. Because at this point, it's been jacked up high enough that if the people that are currently holding stock just continue to hold no matter how low it goes, then the hedge funds won't be able to buy enough back to dig themselves out of the hole that they're in.
Right.
And they're continually losing money by doing what they're doing to try to drive the price down.
Hold.
Right?
Wait until they're in range.
But on the flip side of that, you've got the fact that this could really actually start affecting our currency if it continues the way it is,
It's artificial inflation.
which would then force the government to impose themselves
Yay.
because they can't have their precious Fed falling apart.
Yeah, if only that darn Fed wasn't there.
If only the woodpecker sighs.
The bark on the tree was as soft as the sky. Yeah. Then I wouldn't have had to go and dig holes because of my pig stealing great great grandfather. Yeah.
Disney's going to come after you for that reference.
Was it Disney that did that? All right, cool. I'm
Yeah, Shia LaBeouf.
I'm prepared.
Disney. I think it was Disney. Pretty sure.
Well,
that's
my
a Disney movie.
my teeth and ambitions are bared. I am prepared.
Stick with me, and you'll never go hungry again.
Great
Wait.
idea. Who needs minimum pay?
Who needs minimum wage?
No pay, no pay. La 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 la. Let's see how much Disney we can stuff into this episode. Jam-packed with 10 minutes of Disney. I guess...
Yep, it was Disney.
Ha!
I was correct.
Well done, sir.
Thank you.
You win Disney trivia.
Woot.
I guess we should get our vitamins.
Yeah,
Before
we
we
probably
get
should. We
too
should
far into
probably get
chaos.
our vitamin B
Vitamin
in before
B.
Before we move on. All right, let's go over to vitamin B. Where's my mouse at? There you are.
Bum, bum.
That was almost a decent slurp until you started coughing there. Have you been taking lessons from mostly Canadian Crowder?
It went up my nose. I'm good.
All right. We got some news for you guys today. Jeff Bezos announces he will step down from Amazon to focus on being a Bond villain.
Oh, good.
Yes, indeed. Today being Groundhog Day, we would be remiss if we didn't give a nice shout out to the
And a hearty
scrappy young groundhog that has taken the place of the one that was brutally murdered last year.
Or the year before.
Or
whenever
the
it
year
was.
before, sometime in there. So the new
De Blasio.
Puxatawny Phil predicts 70 years of exile in Babylon. Things are looking up.
Up.
It's up.
Up.
That's up.
That's a Bible
In
joke.
your in your entertainment / politics news, in an effort to shake off abuse allegations, Marilyn Manson runs for office as a Democrat. That strikes a little too close to home.
Well then. I mean, the biggest shocker to me really is Marilyn is a guy.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, he is. Can't argue that.
It took me a second to catch on. Oh, wait,
Marilyn
it's a guy.
Manson, not Marilyn Monroe.
Oh, not Marilyn.
different-
not Marilyn Womanson.
different
but Marilyn
Marilyns.
Manson.
There.
Marilyn Womanson.
So back to our politics. We got two pretty awesome stories here. The first, Democrats announce it is safe to reopen now that the federal government has tested negative for Trump.
It's about time.
And
It's
in
only taken
related
a year.
news, AOC claims two men in MAGA hats threw economics textbooks at her.
This is MAGA country.
They obviously missed.
Well, osmosis only works with water.
Speaking of education, homeschool moms decide to unionize, demand minimum 3 hours of sleep. I think that they're stretching a little bit
That's a
there. That
reach.
is a
That is a
a
reach.
big ask. It's a very, very big ask.
Yeah, I don't know if states can afford that.
And last but definitely not least, we have family news.
Oh,
A local wife promised to circle back to question about how much she spent at Hobby Lobby.
all right.
She's never getting back to that question.
Ain't gonna circle back, girl.
I think Hobby Lobby should start doing what the local gun stores have done and offer a falsified receipt for a bonus $15 or $20. We'll fill out a receipt that matches what you told your husband you spent
Hobby Lobby.
at Hobby Lobby.
With a little thing on sale.
And this has been your daily dose of vitamin B. All right, that'll do it for us this week. Bye, guys.
Oh, yes. I wish. I mean, we could talk about something that's kind of Babylon Bee related.
Oh yeah, the Nobel Peace Prize.
Yeah, the Nobel Peace Prize. Apparently,
I thought they were supposed to change that to the Nobel Mostly Peaceful Prize.
yeah, they missed that memo.
they missed that memo. Oh man.
Why are you-
NBC News.
If only stop.
That's the one you're
Okay.
looking for,
All
right?
All right. It's doing things to me. Hold on.
Oh no, what'd you do?
It doesn't like that I tried to open it, not in incognito.
Ooh.
Hey, your ad blocker's on. Yeah, I know. There's a reason.
It's to block ads, in case you were wondering.
That's what ad blockers are for. Black Lives Matter has been nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize. Yay! Because, what's a few $1 million in damages across the United
What
States?
is more peaceful than robbing your local Target and setting it on fire?
For justice.
For justice.
Or something. In his nomination letter, Petter Eid, a socialist left member of the Storting Norway's parliament, wrote that he had nominated Black Lives Matter for their struggle against racism and racially motivated violence.
Those are two separate sentences. He nominated them for their struggle against racism, period, and also for their racially motivated violence.
Whoever edited this is terrible.
That's terrible. That's terrible.
BLM's call for systemic change have spread around the world, forcing other countries to grapple with racism within their own societies. Has they?
I don't know. What does Australia say? They usually get it right.
So this alone is why Black Lives Matter should not be a thing. The movement began after the acquittal of Trayvon Martin's killer in 2013 and reached a peak in 2020 after the death of George Floyd at the hands of Minneapolis police officers. Edie wrote. So Mr. Edie, being one who apparently is affluent in American politics and social matters, you would know that Trayvon Martin's killer was extremely white, so white that he was Hispanic. And
I mean, those are the
also-
whitest whites of all.
And you would also know that black people within the community testified in favor of Mr. George Zimmerman because he was defending himself from Trayvon Martin. But, what do I know?
But, I mean...
I only looked at the story that started the whole movement where relating this to the extremely terrible attack on the Capitol on December 6th, which was the worst attack on the United States since September 11th, except for when a certain individual bombed the U.S. Capitol back in the 80s and then was pardoned by Bill Clinton. They were supposed to serve 50 years in prison, pardoned by Bill Clinton, and now that person is one of the executives of Black Lives Matter after bombing the U.S. Capitol.
But at least, the George Floyd thing, that was clearly, an atrocity.
I mean, yes.
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 Definitely.
The answer is yes. The answer is also George Floyd is not a freaking saint.
But he was a hero.
He was
an upstanding person in the community.
Yeah, there's nothing
that
like
had absolutely no reason that the police should have been called.
There's
on
nothing like idolizing a man that held a gun to a pregnant woman's stomach. Nothing like idolizing that kind of individual.
Not to say that his death wasn't a tragedy, but seriously, come on. Pick someone better to base a...
Two strikes right there.
Come on. Well, but then there's also Breonna Taylor. You mean Breonna Taylor, who was standing in the hallway shooting at police when she got shot?
Who was running drugs for her boyfriend?
They didn't tell you that on the news, did they?
Well, there's that guy that the police shot in the back 7 times when he was trying to just leave.
You mean the one that was trying to shoot cops with a taser, or a different one?
Oh, yeah, there's that one, too.
Oh, right.
Yeah, there's that one, the Wendy's guy.
The Wendy's guy.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Which one were you talking about?
Well, the one where cops were called on the scene because he was threatening.
Oh, the one that had a knife that was...
Yeah, and said that he had a knife.
It said that he had a knife.
And in an interview after the fact said that he had a knife. But the police were in the wrong for doing that while he tried to...
shooting an armed man while he tried to...
For shooting an armed man while he tried to steal a vehicle with a child in the back. But, they deserve a Nobel Peace Prize.
Right.
And you know what? They do, because it's worth nothing.
I mean,
it's
not wrong.
It's as valuable now as the Eagle Scout is to scouting.
That's a low blow. That's a low blow.
Is it, though?
No.
It just hit close to home.
Not really, because I'm not an Eagle Scout either. I didn't see the point of it back when I was a kid.
I got mine. Got me out of a speeding ticket once.
Really?
Yep.
Maybe I should have got mine.
I don't know how it got me out of a speeding ticket. If anything, it should have given me a speeding ticket.
Yeah, I don't know how that got you out of a
I should
speeding
know
ticket
better.
either. Should you, though?
It was out of state, too.
Well, that's why you got out of the speeding ticket. Half the time you get pulled over out of state, they don't give you a ticket.
I mean, I was like 20, 30 over speed limit. While I absolutely should not have been, because I was supposed to be an upstanding individual of sorts for a couple of years.
Supposed to be being the operative word there.
But I was also 19, 20 years old, so...
Yeah, that happens.
Heavy dose of immaturity was still soaking through my blood.
Because you never speed now that you've matured.
Never.
Not even a little
I
bit.
was not going 35 over the speed limit while going to work a couple months ago.
Not even once.
Nor did the cop give me a ticket for 15 over when he caught me going 35 over the speed limit. Never.
I could impound your vehicle. Yeah, I know. Please don't.
Yeah. He let me off with that and said he'd be ashamed to if I got speeding through there and hit a deer or something, and the damage that would do to the car is pretty sure if I hit it going the speed limit, it'd still be pretty bad.
Because the difference between 75 and 95 is so much different when you hit a deer.
Anyway. Let's see. Well, we're talking about law enforcement, so let's do FBI.
FBI.
We got a couple FBIs.
Well, body inspectors.
Let's start with the planning. Huh?
Oh,
Some
the planning.
The planning.
Which one? Wait, where is planning?
Just the news.
Just the news. Okay, that one.
That one. So there's a headline that came up right before we started recording that the House has said that Donald Trump is basically solely responsible for the inciting the riot.
Solely. He's the only person
It is-
that had any say in them.
Because how else are you
Storming the
supposed?
Capitol.
How else are you supposed to interpret? Let us peacefully march to the Capitol and let our voices be heard.
Yeah, and weren't they like 2 miles away from the Capitol?
Yeah, he was still
When
speaking
he
when it started.
Said that.
When
Oh.
it started, he was
Yeah.
still on stage, and it started already. But other than that, there's not really anything that really exonerates him, aside from the fact that the FBI has said this has been planned for months. Oh. Let's see. Just the news. Why do you?
And it would have happened without his speech.
Growing evidence of advanced planning and coordination of the January 6th storming of the Capitol undermines claims that the rioters were responding spontaneously to former President Trump's speech to supporters about a mile and a half away, according to legal and intelligence experts. That should have been broken up in more sentences than it was.
Should have been. That was a very,
That was
very long.
That was one sentence.
Where's the rest of the commas in there?
They made a paragraph into a sentence. And apparently this next paragraph
At least
is
a
also a sentence.
semicolon. Come on.
You can barely breathe.
Do you need me to take
I have
a
asthma. I
shot
can't
at
keep
it?
doing this.
You also had COVID once. So
Yeah, I'm
sure your
double hurt.
respiration isn't as good as it used to be.
As Senate Democrats mull their options for convicting or censoring Trump and banning him from future public office for allegedly inciting insurrection, experts said their incitement case against him was dealt a severe blow this week when federal prosecutors charged 3 men in the Capitol attack, alleging their communication and coordination dated back to November.
What part
Oh.
of November? Like before the actual election was finalized, or
I don't know that it says. Da-da-da-da-da. Let's see what this
So-
says. I don't see a date.
you also have to look at the the threshold of incitement, which they list right here in that next paragraph.
Yes.
Because like the very first line of it absolves Trump, because at no point did he actually say let's get violent. So for speech to meet the threshold of incitement, a speaker must first indicate a desire for violence, and second, demonstrate a capability or reasonable indication of capability to carry out the violence. So, show me where he incited them.
Oh, right where he said, "Let us peacefully march."
Oh, yes, because the word peacefully there indicates violence and a willingness to commit violence.
No, march, because that's what
Oh,
soldiers do.
march.
Soldiers march to battle.
March. So there's never been a peaceful march in our history ever.
Nope, especially this Black History Month, there has not been a single
Solitary
peaceful
peaceful
march that has ever occurred on U.S. soil. Yeah,
Heavy sarcasm.
doesn't
heavy
specify
sarcasm.
when in November. It just says November. I'm guessing somewhere around the 11th is probably when they started talking to each other. Yeah. Still unanswered are questions about how much House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell knew in advance of the potential for violence and when they knew it. Also unresolved are lingering questions surrounding the Pentagon's pre-attack offer to send National Guard troops to reinforce the Capitol Police that never showed up until the fourth or fifth time they were called. Apparently. He noted that Trump did use the word march in encouraging his supporters to march to the Capitol and voice their dissent during the floor proceedings to formally certify 2020 Electoral College vote. But march, we've had peaceful marches as part of our history. We just said there isn't. What is...
No, he's right. We have had. It was very many, and a very particular one that is really important for Black History Month. Actually,
Oh, Black Lives Matter. That's getting the Nobel Peace Prize.
No,
They
no.
peacefully,
No,
mostly,
no.
somewhat,
Just
a
shush.
little bit marched through the U.S. and
Yeah, no.
caused a measly 3 some odd billion in damages.
Yeah, that's not peaceful. And it's not even mostly peaceful. It's actually mostly rioting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah,
the one I was referring to was Selma. But yeah.
I don't know a Selma. I don't know anyone named Selma.
No, not. Selma was a place. So it was the Martin Luther King,
Oh, you mean
when they marched from.
you mean the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King?
Yeah,
That
one.
one?
When they marched to Montgomery, was called the Selma March. That was.
Yeah. I always found it interesting that in history books and stuff, so Martin Luther King's official title is Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. But in history books, you always just see Dr. Martin Luther King. They leave off Reverend as if they're trying to censor some sort of something or other, but I don't know.
Yeah, who knows?
Heaven forbid the pastors and reverends of the country unite the country together and cause them to make a change for a difference like they did back in about 1770 some odd.
Around 6-ish?
Ish. Black Robe Regiment.
But it really started in 1619.
Yeah. Yeah, sure.
Anyway.
One thing I like from here is they point out something that Rand Paul did. He took to the floor and pointed out some hypocrisies. No Democrat will honestly ask whether Bernie Sanders incited the pro-Sanders shooter that nearly killed Steve Scalise. No Democrat will ask whether Maxine Waters incited violence when she literally told her supporters to confront Trump officials in public.
I mean, the Maxine Water ones, I would almost say
That
were
absolutely
was
is inciting
insane.
violence.
Yeah. Bernie, not so much.
Well,
really.
see that's the thing. It's they're tying Trump to this because everyone was wearing a Trump hat and it was from his rally and blah, blah, blah. So therefore it's Trump's fault. The guy that went, what was this, 2 years ago now? 3 years ago?
Oh, it's been a while, yeah.
So the Republicans were playing softball, and the only reason why there was security at the field was because the Senate Majority Leader was there. So Secret Service was also there. Otherwise, there would have been zero security.
2017, so yeah, 3 years ago, almost. 2.5, yeah.
So the only reason why there was any kind of security there was because there was a ranking member of the Senate there, which warranted Secret Service to be there to offer security. And because of that, nobody died. People got shot, but nobody died. If Secret Service wasn't there, how many Republicans would not be here today from the Senate? I think Rand Paul was even there too, wasn't he?
I believe so. Yeah,
Yeah.
he was there.
So yeah, Rand Paul was shot at by someone who on the social medias is an adamant supporter of Bernie Sanders, and he did not call for Bernie Sanders to be.
That's actually funny.
It's not really funny to get shot at.
No, this there was a tweet exchange. So Keith Ellison posted in February of last year, I've never seen at Bernie Sanders supporters being unusually mean or rude. Can someone send me an example of a Bernie bro being bad? Oof. Also, are we holding all candidates responsible for the behavior of some of their supporters? Waiting to hear. And Steve Scalise retweeted it with, I can think of an example.
Oof. Oof. We just turned that oof down all the way up.
Yeah.
That tweet turned into sour milk real quick.
Yeah.
So this riot was planned months ahead of time. And the police aren't happy about that.
Yeah.
They're not. It's not because somebody planned it in advance. They're unhappy because nobody told them. The Capitol Police Union slams leadership. The entire executive team failed us. This is from IJR. The Capitol Police Officers Union blasting acting chief Yogla Pittman and her team after revealing they knew there was potential for violence at the U.S. Capitol on January 6th, but failed to inform officers of the danger. This explains to me why you see videos of officers just kind of opening doors and stuff like that for people to go through. Because historically, whenever there's a bunch of people with MAGA hats and U.S. flags and Trump for president, whatever, they're not beating the police and they're not terrorizing whatever's around them.
Mm-hmm. Which could actually explain a lot that the Capitol Police weren't informed that any of that was a possibility. But,
yeah.
I mean, tinfoil hats and whatever.
Uh-huh.
Also, it's interesting to note that neither Mitch McConnell nor Nancy Pelosi has actually stated when they were made aware.
Why should they? Because it's Donald Trump's fault, so why should they have to?
Well,
I hope Trump has a good lawyer that spins it around on him.
Right.
'Cause this isn't a time to be asking the Senate questions. Yeah, it is, because this says you knew.
This is exactly the time to be asking the Senate questions.
Yeah, this says
this is the time to
knew.
be asking all of the questions.
Yeah,
and the bull crap that all these different places are doing, censoring the people that are asking the questions.
I'm just asking questions.
It's not just detrimental to the people asking the questions. It's detrimental to society as a whole. Mm-hmm. You should not want to live in a bubble where all you hear is your own opinion. Yeah. You shouldn't.
You shouldn't.
And
if you want to,
I'm struggling right now with friends that, you know, they'll say something, they'll do something, they'll post something on Facebook, and I reply, and they cancel me. They delete my comment. They brush me off. They don't listen to me, and that's not a way to handle it.
Yeah.
If you truly have an ideal that you believe in, then you should not be afraid to sit down and have a discussion with somebody about the ideal without, you know...
Especially if you believe it to the point where you're putting it on a public forum.
Right, exactly.
This is one thing I've told a couple of friends that have since unfriended me, is when they get angry at me, why do you only comment on this stuff? Because that's the only thing that matters to me. 1, 2.
It's the only thing that you post that matters.
Yeah. 2 is you got a picture of your kid or grandkid. Congrats, that's cool. Sorry I didn't hit thumbs up on that. What are you looking for? But I tell them, is if you're going to post stuff like this, own it. Mm-hmm. If you believe it that strongly, own it. Otherwise, don't post it.
Yeah.
And I'm to the point where I believe a lot of stuff strongly, but it doesn't matter because anyone that would give me an opposing view is basically gone.
Right.
Not from my choosing, from their choosing. And so now here I am doing a podcast.
And either they're gone or the arguments that they post are circular logic or straw man arguments or pick your logical fallacy.
Uh-huh.
And their argument will always eventually devolve into an emotional something. You know, I think maybe 2 or 3 friends who will actually sit down and comment and go through the actual process
Actually
of
try to learn from you and you learn from him.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Actually making a researched, logical, thing.
Right.
And I think it's funny because even those guys, they post links and stuff like that I'm like, I go look at the link and I'm like, I can't even respond to that because it would take me 2 hours to explain to you how this research paper is complete bullshit.
And if I did type it all out, you wouldn't read it anyway because it's too long.
If any of you ever post a link to Vox on anything that I ever post, I will immediately discredit you as just being somebody who follows what you're told, because Vox is one of the worst offenders I have ever seen for twisting information to support a narrative.
Yeah.
They are so bad about it.
Them and Salon.
Oh yeah, Salon's awful too. But it's seriously like I just, it drives me crazy that people are like so set in these different things, and not all of them. There's a lot of people that have a lot of things. And there is a very good chance that if you were to honestly sit down with somebody of an opposing view from you and lay out what you think, you would find something that you have in common.
Yep.
You would find something, because unless the two of you are on complete polar opposites of everything political and economical, there will be a common ground somewhere. Yes. There has to be. I mean, there's a lot of people. I listen to tons of people that have differing viewpoints than me. Tim Pool, for example, he has almost the complete opposite economic view that I do. He's very, very liberal in his economics. I'm very, very conservative in my economics. I do not believe in socialized programs at all. I think that they are nothing but a disease that eventually cripples and destroys an economy.
I mean, you only have the example of every time it's been tried.
That's true. But also, on top of that, we agree very much on points of freedom. He believes in personal freedoms and these different things, but he believes, and I don't want to speak for him, but from what I've seen of his YouTube and different things that he says himself, he has very liberal views on economics and very libertarian views on politics. And so
that's something you can work
That's something I can work with, because both of us believe in freedom. Both of us believe that you have these certain rights and these different things. I do not see how a socialistic view of economics equates with libertarianism, because I can't see any circumstance in which a social program doesn't lead to more government control, which leads to an infringement of rights. I don't see how those two things go together at all. But, it's about getting outside of that echo chamber and having conversations, listening to people that don't agree with you, looking at these different things. When you go and you post things about how anybody that doesn't agree with a minimum wage hates children and poor people, you're not making a valid point. You are proving that you're an idiot. That is what you are doing. You are showing the world that you are a moron. Because literally nobody that disagrees with the minimum wage actually hates poor people and children.
Uh-huh.
In fact, we love poor people and children. We personally think, because of our economic views, that raising the minimum wage will hurt poor people and children.
I mean, it's not like Seattle did that and it destroyed businesses in Seattle. Oh, wait.
You are so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
For real.
For real. But seriously, like, I mean, even those of you that agree with most of the things that we say, don't make us your only source.
No, please
go look at other things. Go look at people with opposing viewpoints from you.
And that's a big chunk of why we try to post the sources of everything we find. So not only can you look at it, but you can find something that's contrary to that if you need to. And we try to, and the sources that we find.
And we mix sources. We have both conservative and liberal sources in the things that we talk about.
And even a lot of what I find for our stuff originates from a conservative source. But what I notice that's different between something like The Blaze and CNN, The Blaze will have links to the original source. CNN will have a link to MSNBC, which will have a link to
if
the New
they
York
have
Times.
a link at all, and it's
Yeah.
not just something that was told to them by somebody close to the
Right. Someone close to the president
someone
told us.
close to the situation, somebody with more knowledge of the situation than we have.
Yeah. And they just, and if they do have links, it circles amongst themselves, and you have to go jump through like 10 hoops before you actually find where the original source is. And then, like I said, somewhere like The Blaze or The Daily Wire or the one we just did, what was it? Just the News. They'll have, here's the FBI's statement on it. Here's the FBI saying why they arrested him. Link to FBI page of the document that says why they arrested that person.
Right.
It's a lot easier to trust sources like that than it is to trust a source that sends you on a wild goose chase to find where they found their original source.
And let's be perfectly honest here. If you think every news source lies all the time, you're wrong. If you think that every news source tells you a story that is spun in a way that makes their narrative stand out more, you're probably right.
Mm-hmm.
If you think that most news sources lie sometimes, you're absolutely right. And it has never been more evident than it is right now with this GameStop stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you look at the GameStop stocks, right? So the last few days, whatever, the news, I mean, CNN, big article about how Reddit is pushing silver. They're going to make a short on silver, short squeeze on silver, all this different stuff. Complete and utter bullshit. Complete bullshit.
Uh-huh.
Anybody that spends more than 5 seconds on Reddit can find that everyone on Reddit was like, yeah, no. In fact, they deleted any posts that said you should short squeeze silver because they're like, no, we're not doing that. That's not part of any of this.
Right.
They immediately downvoted and destroyed all of the comments and stuff that were saying go buy silver, because no, don't go buy silver. We're holding this. We're doing this. This is the hill we're dying on.
Yeah.
They declared
on
the hill
of this brick and mortar.
It's a trap.
So one thing that politicians and these bigwigs in hedge funds and whatever don't understand. The internet has a certain bond. Doesn't matter what your political ideology is. The internet can unite behind memes really quick. Mm-hmm. And politicians and things like that in general don't get it.
Except for AOC. She gets it.
No, she does not. She absolutely does not.
She gets the social media thing, though. I give her props where props are due, dude. She
knows how to run her mouth, yes.
She knows how to manipulate social media like nobody I've ever seen. Right. I mean, she is a dumpster fire of a soap opera in human form, but
yeah,
you got to give her props where props are due.
So that being said, the internet has decades now of experience of spotting trolls in comments.
Mm-hmm.
They know when a troll is in the comments. So if someone comes in and says, hey, I don't want everyone buy silver, is it? No, you're just trying to get rich.
Yeah, so you know who went and bought silver? All the old people that don't actually know what's going on Reddit. That's who went and bought silver.
Yeah. That'll really stop those hedge fund guys if you buy silver. They don't do silver, so no.
Right. Right.
Yeah, the internet is a whole new beast, and that's why the government hates the internet and is trying to regulate it like crazy. Net neutrality, because they can't control it.
Mm-hmm.
It is something that is not in their controls, therefore they want to control it.
But internet is a necessity, and it should be a utility.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because the cavemans needed that to progress further from the cave. Anyway. Progressing down the another one related to the FBI. This one just ticked me off. Where'd it go?
Which one? I mean, half of these look like they would tick you off.
I already have it pulled up. From Fox News.
Fox News? That narrows it down. There's only 2 or 3 of those.
Ex-FBI lawyer Kevin Kleinsmith.
Oh, this one!
So he pled guilty to abusing the FISA court system. And by pleading guilty to abusing the FISA court system, he admitted that, yes, I lied on federal documents so I could illegally spy on a private citizen who is running for president of the United States to eventually be in charge of the department that I am currently in.
I mean, that doesn't sound like treason to me.
No, that's not treasonous at all. Anyways, he was given probation after he pled guilty. 12 months probation.
Do you hear that? That's the sound of forgiveness.
Yeah, a stern... He got himself a stern slap on the wrist. He was sentenced to 12 months probation and 400 hours of community service for, again, lying on federal documents to have the federal government illegally spy on private citizens who were running for office to be in charge of the country that this gentleman was working for and would soon be under the employ and discretion of said person that he was spying on. Yeah, he pleaded guilty, and this is one count of making a false statement within both the jurisdiction of the executive branch and judicial branch of the U.S. government, an offense that carries a maximum term of imprisonment of 5 years. Ooh. And a fine of up to $250,000. So if you're a federal employee and you lie to the federal government, it's okay. You'll get a slap on the wrist.
Well, not just that. He specifically lied about an incoming president of the United States in an attempt to get him removed.
This is where the Russia stuff started, was this guy.
Which is by definition treason, because treason is the offense of attempting by overt acts to overthrow the government of the state to which the offender owes allegiance.
Yeah, but how does that tie into actually being treason? Except for matching that definition exactly. How does that tie in?
Aside from being exactly that, what's your point?
Okay, so instead of giving him the 5 years and the fine, they gave him 12 months probation and 400 hours community service. And I thought, well, that is absurd. Also not surprising because that's what happens with government stuff. This is why you get crazy people like on January 6th. Mm-hmm. Because you keep doing ish like that.
Well, and what they're about to do with just keep circling back to it. GameStop.
Yeah. Or what they're trying to do with Donald Trump.
Or what they're trying to do with Donald Trump.
But
all
here-
these things. It's called corruption.
So I was already steaming, and then I got to this. This is where it boiled over. He lost his job, and his government service is what has given his life much of its meaning. He was also earning $150,000 a year, and who knows where the earnings go now. He may be disbarred or suspended from the practice of law. You may never be able to work in the national security field again. These are substantial penalties. Are they?
Yeah.
You might not be able to practice law. You might not be able to work in national security again. That's a
maybe.
substantial. This will forever be hanging over your head. What is more, he went from being an obscure career government lawyer to standing in the eye of media hurricane. He has been threatened, vilified, and abused on nationwide scale. You know who has? Donald Trump. Because of this dipstick, I have strong
worse.
words I want to say. Very
Worse
strong
than
words.
Donald Trump even is the guy that this dude filed the FISA against.
Yeah. Yeah, it was what was it? Durham.
Yeah, Durham.
Yeah.
They ruined Durham's life.
He
he
has-
is ruined
He has no life. His family
None.
has no life.
because of this jackass lying.
And by extension,
You know where that $150,000 should go? It should go to Durham.
it should.
He should be collecting this guy's salary.
And that $250,000 fine that should be attached to this guilty plea also goes to him.
yeah.
And with that, anything else goes to what's his face, the general that the FBI double jeopardized.
Gosh, if you hadn't asked, I would have known. Because now you said general, and all I can think of is Mad Dog.
Kelly?
General Kelly?
It's not Kelly.
It's not Kelly.
Carter Page. That's what it was.
Yeah, Carter Page.
Page.
Yeah, Carter Page was the one.
The Durham
that
report was
That's
what,
right. The Durham
what
report.
they used.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct that. Yep.
Yeah, he lied about Carter Page. He said Carter Page isn't an asset for another government agency, even though he was an asset for the CIA. And so therefore it warranted a FISA investigation that destroyed his life and started a whole Russia thing, fueled the Russia thing for Donald Trump. And yeah. That's why people get angry and make stupid decisions when they should be letting the process do its thing.
Right.
But when you lose faith in the process. Speaking of process, so, there's zero evidence, of course, for any kind of fraud or
None.
malfeasance
No evidence.
for the election last year, which is exactly why a judge has ruled that Virginia broke election law by not going through the state legislature for election changes. Wait, wasn't that one of the cases that Donald Trump had?
Now, to be clear, was there enough to swing in the election?
Don't know.
Don't know, because they haven't investigated it.
Because
So
it never had standing.
who can know?
It never had standing. It was never enough standing to do it.
Also, the not standing thing doesn't mean that the case was ruled against them.
Mm-hmm.
It means that the case was never tried. It was never investigated.
If you want to fuel conspiracy theories, don't address the conspiracy theories. That's
Purposefully don't.
purposefully ignore
The conspiracy theories.
because people will believe more and more that there is a conspiracy to not hear those things because something is there.
Yeah.
Michael Flynn.
Yes.
Yep, that's the guy.
That's the guy. I just had to stop thinking about it for a second so that it would come back to me.
Yeah, kind of like when you're about to go to sleep.
Yes, exactly.
You remember everything.
Yes.
The case was over Virginia Board of Election rule issued in August that allowed mail-in ballots without a postmark to be received up to 3 days after the November election. Wasn't one of the candidates talking about something like that being an issue in the States? I don't know. I think Biden mentioned something about that.
Right.
But yeah, the court agreed with Reed's argument, granting a preliminary injunction that prevented the state from accepting or counting ballots without a postmark. The latest ruling reinforces the earlier injunction, assuring that Virginia will not be able to make similar changes to future elections in the state without adequate changes in current law. So just because you are the Board of Elections, you can't just willy-nilly throw out new rules for the elections, is what this court is saying. You have to go through the
legislation.
Oh,
Legis-
legislators. The state legislators make.
Legislative branch.
Huh. If only there was some kind of document that outlined how that process should work.
If only.
If only the woodpecker side. If only. And also, Arizona has decided that now is a great time to do a forensic audit of their voting machines.
I think it's a great time.
It's a good...
I think any time is a great time as long as it actually gets done
Yes.
before the evidence
there's-
disappears.
there's-
that should
There's
be the
great
key there.
times and there's better times.
And then there's best times.
And then there's best times.
right now is a good time.
Best times is before the election happens, so you can make sure the system's actually secure. Better times is right after the election to make sure it stayed secure. Good times is after the fact, just to make sure everyone's all happy that you did it.
So what actually happens if they discover that nothing was secure and there was a chance of like somebody screwing with it like really bad
It'll get swept under the rug and the news
at
will
this
never
point?
report on
Because
it.
it's like, oh, well, I mean, I guess.
Oh, we
That's
impeached
okay.
Donald Trump so he can never hold office again. But it turns out he was right about all of these things. Darn.
Oops.
Oops.
Yeah, there's another thing. Impeachment is literally to remove someone from office.
Yeah,
How do you impeach somebody who's no longer in office?
yeah, we covered that extensively last week.
Yes. Yes, we did. But it's still annoying.
Very much so. We got 2 more weeks before they actually hear the case, I think. Yay.
Not only is he out of office, he's been out of office for a while, to the point where nothing he did exists anymore because that's what Biden dedicated his first month to.
Not even his first month. His first week.
It only took him a week.
Only now, in the end, do you realize.
So, it was like one of my buddies posted a thing that was like 37 executive orders in the first 2 weeks. I was like, first 2 weeks, dude? He hasn't even been in office for a week and a half. You just posted this.
Yeah, it's-
He's had that many since Tuesday.
It's 42 or 43 now, I think.
Yeah, he's up to like 40 something. But that was like last Tuesday that he posted that.
Related to that, on Twitter, the hashtag Biden lied is trending. Was.
Probably not anymore because, you know, Twitter
Because
will
now
fix that.
Because now it made the news and Twitter fixed their algorithms. But there's no conspiracy. But yeah, it was trending with a lot of people, mainly because people were a little upset that Biden was saying, we're going to get your $1,400 checks after he campaigned in Georgia about people getting $2,000
too
checks.
funny.
So people are a little upset about that.
Yeah, I just looked it up on Twitter. It's like pictures of people's cats and dogs and double stuffed gluten-free Oreos. There's something wrong with people.
Double stuffed gluten-free Oreos?
Yes.
They're already gluten-free
I don't know.
and vegan. Why do you have to?
I don't know.
Also trending in the Google searches was, I want to make sure I say it correctly. Regret for voting for Biden trended in Google searches last week.
That's funny.
What's extra funny to me is Utah is number 1 on the list.
Really?
Yep, right there. Boom. Utah.
Why are you guys regretting it? The rest of us made the right decision.
Utah is 100. Montana, 97. Wyoming, 97. I don't know exactly how to read these things that Google Trends has on here. I don't know what all those digits mean. But I just know the darker it is, the more it was an interest in searches. It's just... Let's see. Pennsylvania here is 64.
This is different than when you sent it to me before. Wyoming's now at 96%. Wyoming had nothing before.
Yeah.
Which I thought was fitting because nobody actually lives in Wyoming. And the ones that do, I'm not sure they have internet.
So if we go to some states here, Arizona, 80. It was pretty high in the regrets.
New Hampshire was 66. Connecticut was 63.
Pennsylvania, 64 currently.
New York was 46.
Wisconsin was only 57. Not much regret there, I guess.
California was 51.
It's staggering, Joe. Why are people upset? Regretting voting for you in the middle of signing 42 executive orders. Why are they upset?
So the numbers, this is how the numbers work. So the subregion shows in which location your term was most popular during a specified time frame.
Right.
Values are calculated on a scale from 0 to 100, where 100 is the location with the most popularity as a fraction of total searches in that location. A value of 50 indicates a location which is half as popular. A value of 0 indicates a location where there was not enough data for this term. So Utah is 100 because it is the highest interest. California is 51 because it was a little more than half as popular there as it was in Utah.
Right. That's funny. Insert Joker scene. You get
Michigan was exactly 50.
Yeah.
So was Maine.
Yeah. There's a little buyer's remorse already beginning 2 weeks, week and a half in.
I mean, can you blame him? He just canceled, thousands of jobs.
The sequel to Joe Biden's book on If I Stole It. The sequel is How to Disenfranchise the Entire Country in 2 weeks.
Ow.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
Well, it's not because his hedge funds tanked.
His hedge funds are under attack.
He'll be fine because he canceled the Keystone Pipeline, so that's not getting built anymore. So that means that all that oil and stuff has to be shipped via train and or truck, which of course everyone knows is much cleaner than just sliding it through a pipe.
Right. Only uses a few 100 million gallons of fuel every year
to transport
millions of gallons of oil.
But yeah, so he canceled that, but that's fine because that coupled with eliminating or restricting production in the United States itself, making us more dependent on foreign oil. His son just happens
to work for a foreign oil company.
Apparently, he's an expert in foreign oil. So
yeah,
it's going to be fine for Biden. He'll be A-OK.
Yeah.
Plus, I'm sure there's nothing nefarious behind the people that own the trains and trucking companies that are where that pipeline service I'm sure
will be going.
I'm sure none of them will benefit off of the loss of transportation via pipeline, and I'm sure
Not
none
even
of them.
Warren.
I'm sure none of them donate $50-some odd million to the
Oh,
Biden campaign.
So definitely not Warren.
Not Warren, fat piece of crap Buffett. I'm sure it's not nothing to do with any of that.
I have no problem with free business. I have a lot of problems with corrupt crony business.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's fine because, we're joining the Paris Climate Accord after being the cleanest country in the world. Yeah. By far after leaving the Paris Climate Accord. But,
Yeah. Well, speaking of being cleaner, Biden is doing his thing with coal miners again. Doing what he does. Going and telling them that they're losing their jobs and that they should just do something easier than what they're doing.
Yeah, see, what happened there was, so now I can't find it. So what happened, first and foremost, John Kerry, who we all know.
Him and Kerry are just in a competition to see who can come up with the worst. Here's what you can do instead.
Yeah, because John Kerry, as we know, is an expert in climate stuff, which is why he's the Secretary of Climate or whatever.
He's an expert in something?
I mean, he's an expert in marrying ketchup millionaires.
That doesn't bode well for whatever he's an expert in.
Hey, but he won 4 Purple Hearts, whatever it is, when he was in the Korean War, where he saw men torturing people for fun in a fashion reminiscent of Genghis Khan.
Was it a Purple Heart for getting shot by the enemy, or because he annoyed people so much that they shot him in the ass for fun?
Or that he shot himself.
Which way did this go?
So John Kerry has some advice for the at least tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people laid off from oil. Is just go make some solar panels.
Yeah, just
go make some solar panels.
Take that top notch.
Do we not have a video of it on this? This is dumb.
There's no video there. But take those top notch skills that you got from that pipeline and go design solar panels.
Yeah,
because it's the same thing.
Yeah, because one thing I learned is that it's not easy to be a welder.
No.
No. See,
no, not easy.
I am somewhat proficient in being a machinist, which is the removal of metal and material to make something. It's real easy to just cut away at something until you have what you want.
It's a little more difficult to add.
A welder has to add things to make what they want. And if you make a mistake with that, you have to remove everything and start again. So a lot of these guys, in fact, probably all of them, have to go to some sort of schooling and certifying process in order, especially in the unions, in order to get this skill set. So they spend a lot of time, a lot of money, and a lot of sweat to get this education and certification that says, hey, this guy deserves to be paid over $60,000 a year to weld some pipe because nobody else knows how to do it but him. And John Kerry is what President Biden wants to do is make sure those folks have better choices, that when they have alternatives, that they can be the people to go to work to make the solar panels. The same people who can do those jobs. Coal plants have been closing over the last 20 years. Yeah, because of stupid policies. Yeah. Yeah. They've been fed the notion that somehow dealing with climate is coming at their expense. No, it's not, he said, adding that the tribulations of oil and gas workers are due to other market forces already taking place. Mr. Kerry gas and oil prices were going down the last couple months, and then just happened to spike 12 cents a gallon in gasoline right after Joe Biden signed this executive order.
Yeah. Just happened to.
Just
What I thought was
Mere
hilarious was
happenstance.
Inauguration Day, the gas prices here in Utah spiked like 6 cents.
yeah. Yeah.
Like the day he got put in office.
Yeah. It's
Or
almost,
the day before. It was the day before Inauguration Day.
It's almost as if everyone knew that's what was going to happen.
Right.
Because he's been talking about that already. And where'd you go? I had it.
Did you?
I did. I had it. It's right here. Right here.
In this general vicinity.
There it is.
Oh, that general vicinity.
This was back in, when was this? This was during the campaign. So a lot of these oil industries and stuff are shocked that Biden is doing this when he already said that he's going to do it. Which is interesting because the fact checkers throughout the campaign would tell you that Joe Biden never said that he's going to eliminate these jobs. He's never going to eliminate oil. To now, it's Joe Biden, or no, it was Joe Biden during the campaign. Is Joe Biden is not going to do that.
Oh, yeah.
And now the fact checkers say Joe Biden never said he wasn't going to do it.
Absolutely will not end fracking.
Yeah. And this doesn't have the video either. What kind of research did I do?
Why are you adding all these things that don't have the video? I was looking so forward to hearing him say the words, just learn to code.
Yeah.
Because coding, anybody that can throw coal in a furnace can code. He's obviously never tried to code.
Or tried to throw coal in a furnace.
Either way. You actually have to be pretty particular about the coal.
Yeah. At a rally yesterday, Joe Biden advised the crowd.
And I know several
coal
friends
mining
that would
town.
throw their ducks at him for this comment.
To learn computer programming. So one thing these guys don't understand, both of them, because Joe Biden also wants to, I believe this week he said something about, they can go work in the factories that make the electric cars and things like that, put the tires on the cars and blah, blah, blah. You need oil to make the tires.
Yes.
You need oil to make the seats in the cars.
Also, most factories aren't done by hand anymore. They're automated,
There's that.
especially the electric ones.
You need, you need oil for the tires. You need oil for the seats in the car, for the plastics in the car. If it's plastic, you need oil. Done. Plain done. You need plastic. If you need oil for plastic. You need oil to lube the stuff that's in the electric car. Because even though it's electric, there's still things that need lubricated because there's moving parts.
Interesting. So you're telling me that an electric car still has 5W40 in it?
Probably not 5W40, but some sort of grease. Ball bearings and such.
Ball bearings and stuff. That's true.
And then you also need oil to make the computer motherboards, computer chips. You need oil to make those things that make it so the electric cars actually work. You need oil to make the batteries for the car. You need oil if you want some Vicks Vapor Rub on your chest when you have a cold. You need oil for your lipstick. You need oil for your makeup. You need oil for your shampoo. You need oil for your toothpaste. You need oil for your computer. You need oil for your TV. You need oil for everything in modern society. Why are gas prices going up? Why is TVs more expensive? Why is my food more expensive? Why? This is why.
Yeah.
This is why.
This is exactly the reason why we always say things like you have to look at the economic impact of what you're doing. Because, yeah, sure, it might sound like a great idea that this is going to save whatever, but you want to talk about hating poor people and children.
Well, the Keystone Pipeline, that was just temporary jobs anyway.
You remove jobs, you raise prices, you do all these things, and yes, the climate is important. We need to do things to help the world and be good stewards of our planet. Absolutely.
Uh-huh.
But we need to do these things in an order. You know?
So think of this. The United States, under Donald Trump's deregulation of oil, became the biggest producer of oil in the world. At the same time, the United States was cleaning its air more than any other country in the world. So while production of evil oil is going up, the creation of evil gas is going down in that same country. So now let's remove that oil production that has created untold number of jobs, not just in the oil industry, but everywhere that uses oil, which is everything from your car to the supermarket to everything I mentioned earlier. Let's take all of that and buy oil from all these developing world countries, like in the Middle East, that have little to no regulation on the filtration of their air quality when they're producing oil and other things. So did you save the environment by doing that and then having to ship that oil across the ocean to the United States, having to have more trucks ship the oil from Canada to Oklahoma?
Yeah.
You really saved the environment there, didn't you?
And
woo-wee.
so I actually looked this up. Electric cars, Teslas, do require certain types of oil. So like you said, they use grease for the engine stuff, but they actually have oil in their differential. Differential oil is an oil. And .3 brake fluid.
Power brakes.
Power brakes. Also uses oil. So.
Why is electric car prices going up? I don't know, because you can't mine the lithium anymore.
Right. Because as far as electric engineering has come, they still haven't managed to design a loader with anywhere near the same amount of power as a diesel engine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's that.
What's really funny about that is, so like locomotives, they're diesel electric. It's a super strong electric motor because it's got an amazingly powerful diesel engine powering that electric motor.
I think one of the funniest little things I've seen is it's a picture of a Tesla car charging on a diesel generator. How's that working for you?
It's working.
Even as you try to get away from fossil fuels, you are in fact still using fossil fuels.
Yes.
And in some cases, to more of an extent than you were just using the other.
That's why I appreciate the electric cars that I see, where I saw a Tesla that has on their license plate coal-powered. Mm-hmm. I appreciate those people because
they at least understand. They recognize what's going on.
Yeah. Are they doing their part? Maybe. They were going to buy a car anyway, so all of that is negated. And then they're just using a little bit extra coal power instead of gasoline.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's good. It's good.
Is it? That's good.
I mean, that'd take too long if we actually dive into it. So I'll just do a quick rundown.
Let me explain.
It take too long.
Take too long. Let me summarize.
So if you remember, almost a year ago, we were told, don't worry about the coronavirus. It's not a big deal. Don't need to change your day-to-day life. Right. No need for Americans to do that. Next month is a year from when Anthony Fauci told us there's no point in wearing a mask. There's all kinds of holes in it. The virus will just get around the mask. And other doctors saying that, let's see, here, this, we'll do this one. This used to be Science, right here. CNN, back in February last year. It's probably an ad. Is it an ad? It's
Probably an ad.
Probably an ad.
And while the risk to the American public remains low.
All right. Yep.
As the president said yesterday.
Anything, says Vice President Mike Lee, appointed leader of the. Welcome to Full Circle. I'm Anderson Cooper. This comes on a day when a new case in California is being called a turning point by the state's public health director because the patient has no travel history to areas with a coronavirus outbreak and no exposure here in the U.S. to people with the coronavirus. Now, that being said, the number of cases in the U.S., 60, is still relatively low compared to a handful of countries outside of China where the coronavirus really seems to be spreading. And mainland China still has the vast majority of worldwide cases at nearly 78,500.
It's going to transmit just like any other upper respiratory infection. So a lot of transmission through droplets from people spitting, coughing.
It's going to transmit just like any other respiratory infection, which means there's ample studies in the CDC and elsewhere that show you exactly how this virus is going to behave because we've studied viruses like it for centuries. And we know how viruses behave.
And that's why it's really important to wash your hands, which is what everybody's been saying, because people are going to catch these respiratory viruses through their mouth, their nose, their eyes. And when it comes to the mask, that's really only going to be to prevent you from spreading the disease, not necessarily from preventing you from catching it, if that made any sense.
That's interesting. So people were wearing masks thinking that it's going to protect them from getting it. It won't. Why? Because if there's droplets in the air or droplets that land on them, it could go in their eyes?
Well, not only could it go in their eyes, but the droplets themselves that contain the virus could be a lot smaller than what the masks are going to protect against. Oh. And on top of that, if you're wearing a mask, but you're not practicing the other precautions like washing your hands, you're putting yourself at risk. So again, the masks are really only for people who are already sick to prevent them from spreading the droplets. The case in California is kind of...
That used to be Science.
Well, I mean, science is ever changing, always evolving.
What? There's also a study. I'll have it in the links for you all. That from March of 2019. That showed that your body is really good at fighting viruses if you've been sick with that virus before and or have received the vaccine for that virus before, because everyone's afraid of the new strains that are coming out. And by the way, it's okay to say the Brazilian strain, the African strain,
the UK strain,
the alpaca strain. I don't know.
The alpacas are spreading it now?
Sure. At this point, would it really surprise you?
I don't want to live on this planet anymore. I need to talk to Musk.
It's jumped from
I'm going to Mars.
It's jumped from bats to alpacas. But
can't even trust the alpacas. Who can we trust?
But it's not okay to say the Chinese virus or the Wuhan flu or the Kung flu or anything like that.
Kung flu is still my favorite.
It's the best one. Everyone should be okay with
Kung
that.
flu fighting.
But anyways, the study found that because there's a worry that you get sick with a virus and a new strain comes out, your body's not going to be able to fight that new strain because it's new. The study found that your body is actually really good at remembering what it did to fight that virus, the old strain, and it uses that memory to create new antibodies that could fight the strain. Almost like the human body knows how to experiment with ways to protect itself. It's like its own little lab. This is new. Let's find a way to make it not be here. Meanwhile, scientists, this is new. Let's find a way to make it not be here. That was March in 2019 that study came out. There's a couple of studies that show that the dreadful, useless hydroxychloroquine is actually extremely useful in early treatment for COVID-19. Yeah. The Hackensack Meridian Health. That's just fun to say, Hackensack.
Hackensack. I used to play that during lunch in high school.
3-hit freeze?
Yep.
Yeah.
Poison.
Welts like you would not believe.
Oh my gosh, dude. Never thought those beanbags could hit so freaking hard.
But yeah, so there's a study from Hackensack. There's a study with the American Journal of Medicine or something like that. It's on the list here somewhere. It's towards the top. It's towards the top. Yeah. American Journal of Medicine now recommends using hydroxychloroquine in early treatments for COVID-19 because it has proven successful for that. And Facebook's, quote, Supreme Court of sorts, end quote, their little ethics committee or whatever they are, has retracted their bans on some posts, and among those are hydroxychloroquine-related posts because it's working. Now, it would have been nice if we had some doctors that pointed out early on.
It would have been.
If only we had some
Would have been
doctors
nice.
figuring that out early on, or even someone at the head of government letting us know that, hey, this might work. But there's, whatever. Last week, Anthony Fauci said that 2 masks is probably a good idea. And then this week he says there's no data to support wearing 2 masks. But it's okay because there's another doctor that says you should just wear 4 masks. So eventually we'll be putting plastic bags over our heads and everyone will be happy.
Babylon B predicts that sometime in the next few years we will just be giant rolling balls of masks. Mask balls, if you will.
And speaking of masks, have you ever wondered how they make them?
Do
you want to know how they make them?
I've already seen, but I don't want to see it again.
Well, this is how they're made. Right there. Nice little sweatshop in Pakistan or India or some sort of place over there. Sewing the masks on the table. Masks are just falling onto the floor where all the bare feet are at. They're folding the masks on the floor. There's piles of masks on the floor. Feet on the piles of masks. Child labor. This was filmed February 22nd, 2020. Yeah. Yep. Now, granted, I'm sure these aren't the masks that are at your local store. I'm sure these don't end up there. But make sure you put 2 or 3 of those on your face because that's the safe thing to do. Is put a foot-soaked mask on your face. The last story I want to share is God Bless Texas.
Yes. Not very American.
You say that, Joe. So Joe Biden tweeted out, on day 1, I'll sign an executive order to require masks everywhere I can, with a little video of him talking about it. And incoming Texas rep Chip Roy said, on day 1, I will tell you to kiss my ass. Joe Biden took umbrage with that, saying...
You say umbrage?
Umbrage.
Took umbrage with that?
He's... here, we can just watch and... now this. Of course it's now this that has it.
In the next few months, masks, not vaccines, are the best defense against COVID-19.
Wait, what? I thought the vaccines were going to work. This is also on the heels of him saying there's nothing that can be done to
The goalposts, man. They just keep moving the goalposts.
Experts say that wearing masks from now on just until April would save 50,000 lives who otherwise will pass away if we don't wear them.
Experts also said we would lose 2 million people in just the United States. And you all took that hook, line, and sinker only to find out later that guy just basically made it up. But we're still here following all the guidelines that he made up.
Wear these masks. That's why I'm asking the American people to mask up for the first 100 days. I've issued executive orders requiring masks,
which is why he's currently wearing one.
Interstate travel, trains, and planes, and buses. One congressman pointed out he used a very colorful term to say, wearing a mask, I tell him to kiss my ear, and I'm not going to wear a mask. Well, guess what? Not very American. The fact is, you want to be patriotic, you're going to protect people.
Actually, Mr. Biden, that is extremely American.
It may not be very Christian, but it is very American.
It's extremely American. And more so, it is very Texan.
Extremely Texan. Texans are Americans, so yes to both.
Yeah, that's all we'll cover. We got tons of stuff. Electoral College wants to be voted out.
On the chopping block.
Washington, D.C. could be State 51. You could be fined for not voting in Connecticut. All kinds of fun.
Health experts or officials quitting Cuomo.
That's good news. Oh, the news with that is Cuomo saying, I don't need them. Oh, so you're just a dictator. Cool. You're just a dictator.
The White House is wanting questions in advance because,
to be fair, that's been done before.
It's been done rarely. Before, but I mean,
it's so she doesn't have to circle back.
Yeah. It's so that she can prep better because
if you're sharing
is struggling a little bit. And I'm going to be honest on it. There's a lot of people out there. I actually do want to talk about this one for a second. There's a lot of people out there that are attacking Jen Psaki. The P is silent, man. Psaki. Jen Psaki. Calling her all kinds of names, talking about how awful she is and different stuff like that. Like, I get it. She's part of the Biden administration and whatever. You want to dislike her. But, like, really, we can't blame her for everything that goes on. She's just the messenger.
Yeah. And so when the messenger looks dead confused on how to respond when the president is called out on his hypocrisy of a mask mandate the night that he signs the mask mandate, it's not her fault that he does that.
Right.
But it is understandable that she should be prepared for something.
She should be. She should be, and she's not as well prepared as she probably should be,
especially coming on the heels of someone like.
In her defense, again, when you're dealing with somebody who also doesn't know what's going on, it's a little bit more difficult to have a decent answer for anything about why he's doing what he's doing.
Yeah.
So, there's that. But play the devil's advocate on that. Like, she's just the press secretary. Honestly, until McEnany, I didn't know who the press secretary was ever. So I couldn't tell you who Obama's press secretary was. I couldn't tell you who Bush's was.
Right.
The press secretary never has and probably most likely never will really matter that much. McEnany was just kind of unique because she was really good at it.
She was on the ball with everything.
Uniquely good at it.
As soon as they'd ask the question, she'd flip open to her little binder of notes right to where she needs to be and not only answer their question, but call them out on their hypocrisy of asking such a question with stuff that shows with evidence of their hypocrisy.
I mean, regardless of whether or not you liked her or like President Trump or any of that,
she was.
If you were paying attention at all, you cannot help but admit that she was ridiculously organized and very good at her job.
Yeah, she probably should not have been press secretary. She probably should have had a different position with how well she handled all of that.
She probably should have, but I mean, let's be honest. She was very greatly needed right there.
Yes. Yes.
So that being said, I mean, there's so much more that we have here that we can't cover, but we'll post the links and you guys can search through and see all the things that we couldn't get to because there's just so much. In fact, so much that we are talking about trying to add a second night. We haven't decided when yet, but y'all will probably be the first to know when we figure it out.
Yeah, you'll see another thing posted that isn't a part 2. Is basically or you'll hear the first one and we'll say we're recording a second one.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. But we hope to get to that point because you guys have been awesome and have been sharing our stuff and listening to our stuff, and we see all of that feedback via statistics we get, and we see that we're doing better now than when we were trying to pay Facebook and stuff to make us have that kind of audience. So
right.
Thank you for being better than Facebook.
Indeed.
I understand that's not a high bar to hurdle, but
that's an insult to the bar.
Speaking of, Facebook tried to block us on one of our things. I can't remember which episode it was.
Facebook or YouTube?
Both.
Oh, I didn't realize that Facebook had done it.
You told Facebook to pound sand. I told.
Oh, that's true.
YouTube,
yes,
you got to tell us what we did
Facebook
wrong.
tried to block us on our Martin Luther King episode for the Martin Luther King quote.
Oh yeah, we played Martin Luther King at the beginning.
Yeah, we played the Martin
Facebook
Luther
said you
King
can't do that.
I Have a Dream speech at the beginning, and they flagged it, which I thought was incredibly funny.
Yeah.
So I told them to go pound sand that I was posting it anyway, and so far they haven't taken it down, so I guess I was right.
I think they're just not going to monetize it.
Oh, we're not monetized anyway.
Right in my empty wallet.
Shot to the heart. Right in my empty wallet.
Yeah, and then YouTube went back to our
5 weeks ago.
Yeah, to our canoes episode.
Went to more canoes and took that one down.
They said, we're removing this because it's spam and stuff.
Okay, well, what part of it was it that you flagged? Well, they won't tell us. So
yeah, it says you can dispute this claim, and
what I thought was also funny was they were like, and also we're not going to give you an actual strike for this because you might not know that it was against whatever we wanted.
That is correct.
Like, yeah, I'm still not sure what was against anything that you...
So we have 3 days left from the night of this recording before it's permanently removed, in which case I will just repost the video.
That's a decent way to handle it. They're going to give us a strike for reposting it.
And I will again ask them sternly.
Yeah, like seriously, defend yourself. Well, okay, tell me what I'm defending myself against.
You committed a crime. How do you plead?
What crime?
What crime? You just committed one. When?
Where? When?
How? Why?
What?
It's not how this works. You are accusing me. I am not defending myself from nothing. I have to defend myself from whatever you are accusing me of. But if I don't know what that is, I can't dispute the claim. Now, can I? Isn't that
No, you look like an idiot.
Yes, YouTube is.
Yeah.
You are so dumb.
It's gonna be a good one. See where that goes.
Maybe this means we're actually gaining influence, and they're worried that CNN will fall under us.
With our 133 views a month.
Listens a month. We have like
2
or 3 views per video.
There you go.
We are
that
really
equates to like 12 views a month. Go.
Ooh, we're scared.
We're closing the gap on them. Closing the gap.
Rapidly approaching. with a commanding last place.
It's all right. The important ones are the ones that listen or watch. You know, there's I can't discount those 2 views.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. Even if it's me accidentally hitting play on it.
That just, you know, words and stuff.
Words.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a crazy world, and it's only going to get crazier. And make sure you're getting your mind and your heart where it needs to be, because it's only getting harder to recognize what's right, what's wrong.
Yeah.
What's true and what's false.
And it's important at this time that we all try to do our part to make the world a little better. You know, we've talked about it a number of times before in different episodes, you know, going out, serving your community, doing different things. You know, those are the things that you can do every day to improve the world around you. And if you get really ambitious, you can, you know, run for office, you know, make a difference that way. There are a lot of things that we can still do to improve the world, you know, regardless of what other people are doing. It doesn't mean that you can't try to improve the world around you.
Yes.
Yes, he has a thinking face on. He's thinking of something.
I'm thinking. I think it's this one.
Well, that was short.
Yeah, I don't want to play too much of it because then it'll get banned.
Where the counselors were meant to watch the consecration of the icon, the start of the great journey.
There is still time to stop the key from turning.
That's the one I wanted. There's still time.
There is still time.
I mentioned early on this year that this year should be the year of the people. Reddit has showed us that it's possible. Of all places.
It's the last place I expected something like that to
see
come
that
from,
coming. But yeah, there's still time. It is chaotic, but again, I feel it's going to be okay somehow, eventually.
Yeah.
It's going to be fine. It's all right.
And, you know, everybody kind of looks around like, when's the next Lincoln, next George Washington, next, you know, pick your historic, heroic figure. When's the next one of those guys going to show up?
Never.
There's
only one.
But that doesn't mean that you can't be yourself that type of person.
Yep.
You know, none of us ever feel equal to that kind of task, but all of us should make an effort.
Yep. A couple episodes ago, we shared the song, the America's Son, where in the end it's looking for our next George Washington. And I believe what that song is saying is not the next George Washington, not the next person that follows 121 rules to the T in society and in his personal life, but someone who gives their soul to God and their heart to their countrymen, someone who is grounded in beliefs before they get in politics, someone who loves their country before they've gotten rich. That I believe is what America as a whole is looking for. That's what gave us Donald Trump, I think, is he was outside of all that we've been having. And it was something different. Some people loved it. Some people hated it. Some people loved what Reddit did. Some people hate what Reddit did. I'm just saying.
It's true.
But yeah. You could be that person. Whoever you are. And if it is you, give us a shout out. We'll get a few more listeners. That'd be cool.
Even if it's not you, give us a shout out anyway. Send us your comments. Tell us what you guys want to hear, what you guys would like to see. Rate us, like us, share us, all those good things.
You know, the thing.
The thing.
The things.
Learn to code.
If not, then learn to code.
I actually have a friend who listens quite frequently who knows how to code, and he's probably going to get a kick out of
it's just a bunch of zeros.
I might
and
get
ones.
an angry text at some point.
Just a bunch of zeros and ones. How hard could it be?
I'm directing his angry text at you when we get it.
Good. Yeah. Thanks, guys. We love you.
And we'll see you next week.
Bye. Hold on. I want to guess something. Her eyes are not looking at the camera. They're looking around as she's saying this.
Uh-huh.
Ha! Liar. I love to hate her so much.